You doing better about your death watch?
No, most of my hopes were crushed the day after I recorded that shit, so that pretty well answers that question.
Oh, well, nothing else is bothering you, right?
Wizards of the Coast is also slapping cease and desist to people who review the new 5.5e. So that's more shit on my burger.
Come on, there has to be some good news, right?
I mean, we're in the Dark Eldar city, and I've only lost one kidney, so that's a positive.
See, silver linings and all that.
Yeah, I guess that's something. I need to review something, though, so let's look at my list. Cyborg? Yeah, why not?
What's this one about?
A communist wet dream about what a world will look like if innovation and personal growth are allowed to continue. No, seriously, this book straight up says that players are not allowed to have loyalties or sympathies for, quote, companies, cops, or capitalism, which is incredibly funny given how these are the same kinds of people who demand people buy movie tickets to Disney slop with recent Marvel or Star Wars films. And this book is being sold online for $51.35 before tax by Free League. Oh, these guys. Yeah, makes sense. The cognitive dissonance is pretty common among EU members. I guess by the game's own statement, it's a good thing I found a free PDF of this game. Unfortunately, this book is stupid hard to read. Like, not even from a formatting standpoint, I mean, it's physically difficult to read. The font is meant to keep up with that cyberpunk thematics. Unfortunately, with my eyes, my strokes, my seizures, and just me in general, it makes it hard to read, but there's enough for me to figure out. There's a quick step-by-step character creation and a table you're supposed to roll before character creation, which essentially gives you some crap beforehand. You start with 2d6 times 10 credits, some cheap clothes, and a RCD, which is like a cell phone, plus something from 3 different tables. Then we go to, quote, make a punk, which I assume is your character. Steps are as follows. Optional is to choose or roll for a class and get the information for gear, abilities, hit points, debts, and glitches. Then you roll your ability scores, optional of rolling your features, style, and obsessions. Then you randomize your stuff, roll your debt, roll your glitches, roll your hit points, then you play. Some of these are obvious, abilities, hit points, and that's about it. Dead, I can make an assumption. Glitches, I assume to be like feats, but we'll see in a moment. Abilities are as follows. Agility, knowledge, presence, strength, and toughness. They do the following. Agility is your sneak, dodge, drive, and auto-fire, apparently. Knowledge is science, use tech, or use app. Presence is sniping and shooting. Use nano and charm. Weird. Okay. Strength is strike, grapple, lift, and throw. And toughness is survive falling, survive poison, and survive elements. That's kind of weird, but okay. To get these scores, you roll 3d6 and add them up. If you chose to go classless, you roll 4d6 and drop the lowest for 2 abilities. If you do take a class, follow the instructions of said class. Usually do what I just said, but for specific classes. These scores give you a minus to plus of 0, 1, 2, or 3. There's a table, I'll post it here. When performing tests, you'll roll a d20 and add said numbers and check if you beat the DR or DC, depending on how you want to phrase it. Given Hasbro recently, good idea to change the letters. I'm certain you're interested in the classes. Well, they're absolutely fucked. Seriously fucked. Nanomancer is infected with nanomachines. Hacker is scarred in some way, shape, or form, often by their own creations. Core Killer is just psychos. Gearheads are orphaned and usually view their machines as their family. Cyber Slashers are gimps. Gangoon makes sense, this is probably the only normal one. Style should be made by choice, not rolled, but there's a huge 50-point list of options. There's also 3 more little personal tables too. Wants, quirks, and obsessions. I feel these should be a player's choice, though given how most of these are really negative, I can get them becoming random addictions. How is cash one of these? Isn't this game anti-capitalism? Next we look at gear. There's 11 types, though auto rifles I refuse to call what they call it. Has an upgrade option of being with a grenade launcher, which is a lot easier to make than you'd actually think. These specific weapons don't change the stats, but your own stats and such can change them. For example, a smart gun normally deals d6A damage. What does A mean? I think it's plus agility, but don't quote me on that. If you have a smart jack, it turns to a d10A. Armor is next, and there are 6 different types. You roll a d3 if you have no class, or take your class's option, which do change some things, but mostly reduce the damage taken when you are hit. Then you go into debt. This is weird formatting. Again, I blame how often Europeans use a period instead of a comma for numbers, because it says 3d6 times 1.000. I think that should say 3d6 times 1000, but who the hell actually knows with this game? You then roll a d12 to figure out who you owe. Hold on. How can you owe a minimum of $3,000 to your childhood bully? The fuck's wrong with you? Oh, they're a gang leader now. The fuck's wrong with you? It then goes into various other gear, including backpacks, transportations, apps, cybernetics, and such. It also talks about infestations, which seem to be something that just randomly happen if you take damage of 5 or more in a single hit. So someone could punch you hard enough and you grow gills? Somehow? No, that's actually a thing. Although, looking at these, it may just be weird words to describe mundane things. Alien crabs could be nerve damage, gills could be just getting the wind knocked out of you. Third eye. Flora. What? Moving on. Glitches look to be a special pool you get to do special things, like hero points in 3.5e. Can use them to deal max damage with one attack, reroll a roll, or force another reroll, or lower the damage you take. It'll also neutralize critter fumbles, and it can also make the DR of a roll lower. I actually really like these. I don't like the name, but I like the idea. There's a lot more to this game, but I can see why people like it. It looks complicated, but the complications make it very customizable. I don't like some of the wording used, as it gets confusing, but once you read it, it seems surprisingly simple game to play, just difficult to get into. All in all, I'll give this game an 88%. My problems are less any one big thing, and just a bunch of minor issues I'm seeing. I might need to buy this in the future, see if I can get a one-person group for this, given I'll be losing 2 of my group in the end of the year. Alright, that'll do for this episode of How's David Doing? He's doing alive. I'm alive. Shove off.